Okay, so let me cover, because somebody had asked me this, and so let me cover some explanations about why I attack this way and the way that I taught the collar grip, and I think some people missed why. So on your back, yeah. So I really taught from what I consider the most difficult side control to attack first. Okay, so what I mean by that is this. This is tough when they're like this. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? When their elbows are real tight, this is the tougher one for me. Like, this is the one where it's the hardest. And so that's the one I taught from first, because for me, like, this is where it's tough. There are going to be other side controls where you can trap their arm and lock your hands, and we're going to kind of go over that today. Now, when are they more likely to have a better defense? The earlier in the role you're in, right? Everybody's great at defense right away, right? But after we're 6-7 minutes into the role, things change, okay? And all this, like, Lego defense goes away in there. So you have to understand that too. A lot of times when people are fresh, they have really good frames and really good defenses, but as they get tireder, things starts to happen, right? Like we talked about trapping this arm and then them really fighting hard to get that elbow back inside. Well, that fight usually only happens the first couple minutes. Once they're exhausted, and I've been in the mountain, I've been knee on belly, I've been riding them, I've been on their back, when I get this arm trapped, they don't even have the energy to buck and bridge to get that elbow out. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Raise your hand if your defenses are as good 6 minutes into the round as they are at the beginning. Everybody see what I'm saying? So we have to understand that this methodology that I was teaching before, when we're here and I stop the hip, because once I feel this hand coming in, I know he can get his legs in. So this happens to limit his ability to replace the guard. And then since his hand is on this side of my head, in that kind of forklift, yeah, my hand reaches over and I make this grip. Does everybody understand? But I'm adhering to what? His defenses. I'm not making him do anything. I'm just saying when he's in his best frame defense, that's the submission base that I work, right? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Okay. But it's not always the case. Like very often they can't get there that way. Or I get the side control a little quicker and then I don't let them. Do I want them to get this hand on the other side of my face? No. And very often I don't let them do that. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? So if their hand's on this side of my face, that's why I make the collar grip here. And the arm bar looks different because I have a completely different grip than I would with the Armlock 7. Even though this is an arm bar from side control, it's a different variation that requires a lot of weight. Whereas if I get here and I clear this arm and I've got it tight and I'm putting good shoulder pressure, this hand kind of starts to lose its effectiveness for him there pushing on my neck. And as he pushes on my neck, it's not hard for me to get under there. Or maybe he's just frustrated and he puts his hand there, right? This happens. Raise your hand if people put their arm there. Yeah. Raise your hand if they're supposed to. No. Do they do it? Yeah. Raise your hand if you do it sometimes. Yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh, God, what am I doing? What we're looking at is the statistical probabilities. And we're understanding that there is not a million things they can do. There's only a couple things they're going to do. Their hand's going to be like this. Their hand's going to be like this. They might lock their hands together. Okay, but how do we overcome those obstacles is what this series is about. Everybody got it? So when I get here and I'm working and I'm putting pressure or whatever, and I feel that hand go behind my head, boom, right away. Hey, right away, as soon as it goes. We'll go over when you lock your hands together. We'll go over that, but I'm not doing that right now. Yeah. So you see how he's locking his hands together? Go ahead, lock them. Yeah, we'll go over that probably tomorrow. Now, most of you, does anyone know what I do when they do that? Lock your hands together. Yep. And I go straight to the north-south choke. Right? And if I roll with you, I've done north-south choke. Because people do it all the time. They lock their hands together when I'm right there. And I mean, it's not, understand, like what I'm trying to do is what? Have a certain programming. You do this, that's my reaction. And then once I start going, it kind of hurt your shoulder, right? And so they want to get their arm out of there. It's the worst. You gave me the north-south choke. Right? But those behaviors of mine are not based on this is my favorite thing to do. They're based on the behaviors of the opponent. Okay? So when I get here and I feel this hand go up to my right there in any way, however, just his hand went on the other side of my head. All I do, this is when I do arm lock 7. Because someone was asking me, well, I saw that other arm bar you were doing, like, why don't you teach that one and what's the difference? And so this is the difference. His hand is on the other side of my head. Whereas if his hand's on this side of my head, it's a different arm bar. When the hand's on this side of my head, now I'm doing arm lock 7. So let me show you what I do. My left hand grabs his tricep and I put my elbow on his body. How does that feel, Barrett?
Not good.
Terrible. That is the first and most important element of what you're doing. Well, the mistake I see a lot of people do is their hand goes here and they start going. And there's all this, and the person escapes so easy. This detail of, as soon as this goes on my back, I don't grab my collar, because when I grab my collar, I really can't put my elbow on his body. All I do is grab the tricep area, and I bring my elbow straight to his body. And look how my head's kind of pinning his arm. Then I put my hand right next to his head. Does everybody see how I'm stretching his arm out with my body? Now, all I'm going to do, because if he stays on his back, it's a little easier for him to escape the armbar. So I need him on the left side of his body. So when I put my hand here on the mat, I'm blocking his head between my knee and my hand. So he can't really move around Barrett. Does everybody see what this does? This puts weight on his body, but then this traps his head between my knee. So he has a tough time moving around, which is what I want. I don't want him to be able to go that way as much. And all I'm gonna do is back my knees up just a little bit. And I pull him onto his side. Everybody understand? Just a little bit onto his side. I bring my left knee in and I step right by the belt. I don't take a bunch of little steps like this. Like I see people kind of slow walking their foot around. No, look. I step all the way to his belt. Everybody understand? Right away, as soon as I step, my hip goes into his shoulder. And I grab the pants. Now, all I'm going to do from here, I don't stand up at all. I just circle my hips. And I bring my elbow to his thumb. Once I'm here, a little bit of pressure. Okay? One more time. So, understanding what's relevant about the way I make the attack has a lot to do with the angles that he creates with his own body. And notice how I'm not necessarily forcing Barrett to do anything. I'm letting Barrett kind of determine where he wants to be. Then I morph my body into what it takes to finish him from that decision. But I'm using his decisions against him. Everybody understand? When I can learn to do that, jiu-jitsu works a lot better. When it's all about what you want to do and your favorite submission and your favorite guard and you like this submission, and your jiu-jitsu tends to not work as well. But when a lot of the positional structure or where you end up has to do with them putting themselves there and you taking advantage of that position they put themselves in, your jiu-jitsu will work a lot better. Because instead of forcing them to do anything, You're adapting to their decisions and behaviors. And that whole psychology of jiu-jitsu submits way more people. I submit people because it's not my way. It's your way. You can do whatever you want. I'm just going to find a way to kill you on the way there. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? I'm just going to find a way to kill you on the way to go wherever you think you want to go. I'm going to go there with you. But halfway, I'm going to cut your throat. Some kind of way. Okay? So, again, I'm here, and I've got that arm trapped. I like trapping that arm. And I keep my elbow inside my knee, and I feel that happen right away. I don't wait. I grab the tricep, and I bring my arm on top, and look where I put my hand. Does everybody see how his position went pretty bad, pretty quick? But he put his hand there, right? So we're here, his hand goes there. Boom. Now I slide my knee back, and I pull him up, and I step right to the belt line. One step. I grab, and then I start to bring my leg up as I rotate. I get my hand to my collar, and I control the thumb. See how as I bring my elbow to the center, his thumb's up. Then it's just a little bit of pressure, and I finish him. Now, can you do this? Sure. You can let go of your foot if you want. I choose not to. Okay? Armlock 7. Now, I think what's most important, though, is to pay attention to how he's deciding to put his arms, and then me attacking my attacks from those things. Okay? On 3. 1, 2, 3.